This Friday, September 16th at 7:30 at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, the Winnipeg Chamber Music Society will be launching their 2022-2023 season with a gala opening concert that features the music of Brahms, and Dvorak. This is going to be a really memorable concert because the members of the WCMS will be joined by a very special guest on stage. And here to tell us more about the concert and that very special guest, I am joined by David Moroz, the pianist and artistic director of the Winnipeg Chamber Music Society. Hey, David, good to see you
Hi.
again over Zoom.
Oh, very glad to be here.
Mhm. Before we talk about the concert, one of the things that I'm curious about is you're the head of the piano department at the University of Manitoba, and the school year has officially started. How has it been going for you now that things are more or less back to normal after the COVID craziness?
Well, this is our official first week of classes, so students are coming in for their first lessons. I haven't seen them in a while. Some of them I haven't seen them for a long while, except on a computer screen. Um, I think, everybody's just glad to be back. And it's nice for me to work with somebody who's only sitting 6 feet away instead of, maybe in another neighborhood or another country.
Yeah. So this Friday night concert is going to be just fantastic. For those listeners who have not yet heard, who is the special guest that you'll be welcoming to the stage?
Well, our guest is James Ennis. James is an old friend of all of ours, and we have been looking for a way to invite him to come and play some chamber music for years and years and years, but he's extraordinarily busy. He plays a lot of concerts, and for us to be able to line up a time when all of us are free and he's free and he's on the same continent and can actually visit us, it was very, very difficult. The first time James played some chamber music with us, I recall, was many years ago, but it was at a Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra fundraising gala, their annual big event.
Mhm.
And as I recall, it was he played the first movement of the Brahms G major string quintet. And everybody just had so much fun. And he said, well, we should do this. And we said, of course we should do this. And so every year we contact him. And every year he says, this won't work, or this won't work, or this won't work, but keep trying. And finally we kept trying. And, as it turns out, of course, he's here to play the Beethoven Violin Concerto on Saturday night with the WSO. And the administration at the WSO very graciously sort of ceded his exclusivity arrangement with the symphony so he could come and play some chamber music with us the night before. So we're very grateful to them, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Once you finally got confirmation that he was going to perform with you, who decided on the program? And I'm thinking in particular here the Dvorak. Was it James who picked the Dvorak? Whose idea was that?
Well, the most important thing for us was actually to find a date. So when we realized that we could actually do an evening of music, our possibilities are endless. The chamber music repertoire is huge. Most often, chamber music was written by composers for their friends. So there is this certain quality about them that, friends love to get together and play chamber music. So we had a lot of choices. We also realized that we did not have a lot of time.
Right.
Because James actually is arriving on Thursday around dinner time. So we realized that we had Thursday evening to rehearse some chamber music. Friday, of course, in the morning, he's rehearsing with the orchestra. Friday afternoon, he's not rehearsing with the orchestra, but the members of the orchestra are rehearsing.
Right.
So we had to sort of devise a program that would work in principle. We wanted to do one big piece with everybody all together. So we came upon a piano quintet, and there's a number of piano quintets that we could play. We thought maybe not Brahms because it's a great piece, but it's very serious.
Yeah.
And it requires a certain amount of time just to settle. The Dvorak seemed to be the natural choice because it has something for everybody. Everybody gets a tune, and there is just sort of a warmth and just a wonderful feeling about the piece that resonates all the way through. So that was our choice for the quintet. We realized that since James had a little time on Friday afternoon to rehearse something with somebody, but not the members of the orchestra, so that would be me, that we could feature him in a sonata.
Oh, really?
And so, of course, there are many, many, many sonatas for violin and piano. I don't know. I made the proposal that we could play Brahms second, because it is also one of those pieces that there's this word in German, Gemütlichkeit, and I don't speak German, so apologies to my pronunciation to your German friends out there, but it just means a certain personal warmth,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed to be the ideal piece for this occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But sonata plus the quintet is not long enough for a full concert. And we realized, of course, that Gwen and Carl and Yuri are in residence here, and they might have time to rehearse a piece on their own before this week got started. And the Dochnani String Trio is a fantastic piece, and
Yeah, it is
really a firecracker, a real barn burner. And this would be just a great way to start our season, which actually happens to be our 35th season, if you can imagine.
Holy moly.
So that's how the program came about. It just evolved with sort of general principles, and then we got a bit more specific. But really, we decided on it in a day. We just texted back and forth, and it was between James and me, and that was that.
That was it. Yeah. For you as a pianist, the group is going to be performing Dvorak's second piano quintet for our listeners out there. For you as a pianist, what is it about that piece that you particularly enjoy? Is it the mood contrasts? Is it the barn burner finale? Is it the delicate Dumka second movement? What is it? What is it about the Dvorak for you that really sells the piece?
I have a long history with that work. I thought about it, quite a few years ago, and I realized that one of I think the very first summer that I went away from home as a teenager to do a summer music camp was at the Banff Center of Fine Arts. That's what it was called back then. Mm-hmm. And the programs were long. They were 6 weeks long. And I was there for a piano program, but part of the program, there was offered a chamber music component. And I had rarely played chamber music. I was 15 years old. I had a few friends who had some interest in classical music. But, there was an opportunity to play chamber music. So we started by doing some Haydn trios. They had sort of a resident violinist and a cellist there. And of course, Haydn trios are sight readable for good string players. Mm-hmm. So we assigned a Haydn trio to all the pianists. And so we played that for a couple of weeks. And then they assigned us something for a final concert. And they assigned me the first movement of the Dvorak Piano Quintet. Huh. So, I learned it there in a couple of weeks, furiously, and played it in a concert. And it was a great thrill. I had never done anything like that before. So I have these fond memories of that first movement, for sure. And later on, probably at another summer program, I had an opportunity to play the whole piece. And it's part of the standard repertoire for pianists to play chamber music. And I would drop everything to play that piece if ever I'm offered the opportunity. So
yeah, that final movement for me, I always think of it. It's sort of like a Slavonic barn dance. It's just so much fun that final movement, and then you get those big mood contrasts in the first movement. It really is a spectacular piece.
Yeah. Well, the finale, it starts off like a little polka.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's, I guess, a little bit common in Dvorak finale movements of around that time. He made music that was a little bit folksy sounding, even though he did not steal themes from folk music. He invented them himself, but he managed to make this beautiful fusion of European art music and folk music that was appealing to everybody.
Yeah, and when I was preparing for the interview, one of the things I found so interesting is that he wrote it a year before he wrote his Opus 46 Slavonic Dances. And that piano quintet definitely has a Slavonic influence. I'm thinking of the scherzo and the finale as well, right?
Oh, no question about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so the other big piece on the program is the Brahms Second Sonata. You were talking about it earlier. It's such a beautiful and lyrical work. You must be really looking forward to performing it with James Ennis, right?
Well, of course, this was Brahms wrote three violin
Hmm.
sonatas, and for me, this was, I think, the last one that I learned for some reason. Um, and it's like all the works of the great composers. When you tackle one of their new pieces, you wonder why you spent the first part of your life not playing it, because it immediately becomes your favorite. And, it's like when somebody asks you, well, what Beethoven sonata is your favorite sonata? Well, of course, the answer is the one I happen to be playing, this weekend. And it is the same with Brahms. But, years ago, of course, I think all of your listeners know that my wife is Gwen Hobig, who is also a violinist.
Right. Concertmaster of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Yeah.
As coincidentally, both James and Gwen studied with the same teacher in Meadowmount and at the Juilliard School. So,
Yeah. Just to interject here, my friend Simon Rusnak actually just got off a Zoom call with James Ennis, and yeah, they were talking about exactly that there's that relationship between James and Glenn and having the same teacher.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's coincidental and very interesting. Gwen and I played a short tour several years ago, performing all the Brahms works for violin and piano. Now, you might think that that's kind of a mammoth task, but in fact, you can play all of Brahms's violin and piano works in probably an hour and a quarter.
Hmm.
But there is so much music in that hour and a quarter, you know.
Yeah.
And to play the three sonatas back to back to back, plus there's a single movement piece that was written earlier called Sonaten Satz, which means sonata movement. To play those four pieces one after another, you have a different feeling than when you're playing them singly as part of a more varied program. But there is this certain warmth in this second sonata. The opening movement, composers always leave us little clues, and well, sometimes big clues. Many first movements are marked allegro, which means, lively, basically.
Hmm.
This one is marked allegro amabile, and amabile is like the word amiable. It means friendly and warm, and it's a piece that he wrote again for his friends. And I have to look this up because I do talk about the pieces a little bit before we play them. And I recall that Brahms sent the manuscript to his friend Clara Schumann, who was a pianist, of course. And I'm not sure, I think it was with Joachim, that they were, I don't know, the story goes that they were having dinner and this parcel arrived, and the manuscript came, and the two of them immediately opened it up and they played it together. And they liked it so much that after dinner they played it again. There is something about this piece that, again, it has this warmth and feeling of friendship in it that is unmistakable.
Yeah, it sure does. The concert on Friday night sounds just great. How much are tickets to the concert, and where can people go to get tickets?
Tickets for this concert are $40 each. They're a little bit more expensive than our usual ones. Tickets can be purchased online. On our website, it's very easy to press a few buttons and you get to the right place. We have an email address, the.wcms.at gmail.com, which you can send an e-transfer if you're comfortable with that. And people can also send an email and request a callback, and we can take orders on Visa.
Amazing, amazing. David, the concert on Friday night at 7:30 at the Art Gallery sounds like it's just going to be fantastic. And what a nice treat to have James Ennis playing with you as well. Finally. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. This has just been great.
Thanks, Chris. Always glad to talk with you.